Hello, welcome back to another episode for biometric integration. In today's video demo, I am going to show you how I did a Python biometric integration on Windows using a ZKTeco fingerprint scanner type 4500 series. Let us get started. To do this integration, I used the PyCharm IDE platform. Let me start the PyCharm IDE. By the way, let me know in the comment section what is your favorite Python development platform. In my case, as you can see, I am using PyCharm IDE. I'm going to start by clicking on the PyCharm icon on my desktop. Here it is. So let me double click it. There it goes. It has opened and actually displayed the project that I was working on. But before we even proceed any further, I first need to close this project. So I just come here and then click close project. So here are my other projects that I was working on in my PyCharm development platform. I want to show you the version of this PyCharm IDE. So I'm wondering how I was doing it, or I need to get into a project first so that I can be able to show. Anyway, the project that I'm going to show you is the top one, the ZKTeco 4500 and 9500 Python biometric integration. Let me click on that so that we can get started. There it is. But before I begin to show you this project, I need to show you first a few details about the PyCharm platform that I am using. To do that, I am going to come here, just click on this, and then I come here at help, and then I hit this bit for about, and right here you can see the details about the PyCharm platform that I am using. It is the community edition. It was built on February 27, 2025. It is a version 2024.3.4. I just wanted you guys to see that bit first, so that if you intend to develop your ZKTeco biometric integration in Python, you could maybe consider using the same platform that I was using, that is PyCharm, though you could use whatever that you're more comfortable with. Let me close this so that we start. So I'll just click on this button here, click close. Now in this demo, I want to show you how I was able to integrate a ZK-Teco 4500 fingerprint scanner in Python using only 10 steps. I'm going to take you through the 10 steps to show you how I was able to integrate my ZK-Teco Type 4500 fingerprint scanner in Python. I'm going to briefly show you the steps, then from there I will run the application so that I capture a fingerprint and display its image, and then also display its extracted fingerprint template. Then thereafter I am going to take you through the 10 steps showing you part of my code, and then we will call it a day. Now let's get started. Let me show you the first step. The first step is here, and it is what I am calling initialize ZK-Teco API. The first step is inside the entry point for the application. Now all this is in my main.py file, this one here. Now step 2 is inside the rest of the steps. The rest of the steps except for the 10th one will be in this function, that I am calling run ZK-Teco finger Python app, this one here. So step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, step 7, step 8 will be inside this function here. Now step 10 will be step 1 and step 10 will be here at the entry point of the app. But then I just realized I should have named this one 10. I did not remember to name it as 10. I don't know why I forgot. Yeah, that will be the last step. Now I need to show you I need to start all over again and show you the various steps before I do a fingerprint capture. Then later on we will come back to all the steps, then review them one by one. But to start with, step 1 is about initializing the ZK-Teco API so that you can get started. It is in this bit here. Step 2 will be taking place inside this. Step 2 will be taking place inside this function here. And step 2 is about getting the ZK-Teco device count. Here it is. Step 3 is about opening the ZK-Teco device to get the ZK-Teco device handle. So here it is. Step 4 is about getting the image width dimension from the opened ZK-Teco device. Here is step 4. Step 5 is about getting the image height dimension from the opened ZK-Teco device. Step 6 is about capturing the fingerprint image. Here it is. We will come back later to all these steps so that we can review them one by one. Step 7 is about displaying the captured finger image. Step 8 is about displaying the extracted fingerprint template. Here it is. Step 9 is where we will close the device after we have been able to capture and display fingerprint image and the template. So we will need to close the device at step 9. And then if you remember at the very beginning, I mentioned that step 1 and step 10 are inside the entry point for the application. Let me take you straight away to step 10, where we will be freeing the resources that were allocated to the app. So here it is step 10. So basically I'm going to show you 10 steps that helped me do this Python integration using the ZK-Teco 4500 fingerprint scanner to capture fingerprint image and display it, and also display the extracted fingerprint template from the captured fingerprint image. Now let's move to the next bit. Now I'm going to run this application and show you how I am capturing a fingerprint image, then display it, and finally show the extracted fingerprint template. To do that, I realized with this version of PyCharm that I installed, by the way, previously I was using PyCharm platform version 2022, and now I am using PyCharm version 2024. This one here, PyCharm 2024.3.4. In this PyCharm 2024, I realized I do not have to go here and run the application from this bit, but rather from just right inside the code. You see this, do I call it this run button here? It is inside the code. This one here, I hope you can see it. Let me scroll down so that I can show you the icon as it moves, this icon here. So what I will do is I will click on it, and once you click on it, it shows you this run main. Then I click this one. So as you can see, the application is running and it is requesting me to place finger on the ZK-Teco 4500 scanner to capture it, but I won't place. So I did not place my fingerprint on the scanner for it to capture it. I did that purposely to show you what happens if you don't place your finger on the scanner in 10 seconds. The application skips that bit and it will return this message to you: you did not place your finger on ZK-Teco fingerprint scanner. So finger capture stopped, and then it will show you the error messages it will show you this error -8. But let me take you to the documentation of the ZKTecho API and show you what error -8 means. In the appendix section, in the appendix 2 section of the ZKTecho API documentation, it says, it shows that -8 means failed to capture the image. Hope you can see this bit here. -8, which is what we were seeing here, means failed to capture image. So the reason why we received a failed to capture image is because I did not place my finger on the scanner. But I'm going to click the run button again, and then this time around I will place my finger on the ZKTecho fingerprint scanner for it to be captured, displayed, and for the fingerprint template to be extracted. Now, if you remember, as I had shown you earlier, you do not have to come to this bit here to click run. You don't. With this new PyCharm platform IDE, the run button is actually shown in your code. Here it is. Hope you can see it. Here it is. Here it is. So now I will come here and click this run button, then I click run main. Observe what happens. There goes my left thumb image after it was captured, after I captured it on the ZKTecho 4500 fingerprint scanner. So basically this is what happened after I will not close the image first, but let me take you through the console, the output in the console. So the application starts running at this bit. Or the image, so if I click the console, the image is minimized to the taskbar. See what happens? Yeah, but then we can get back to it from here. So when the app starts running, this is output in the console. Then in step 1, this is in initialization. After the initialization is done, the application starts running. Then device count, we get a device count of 1. The application returns the number of connected devices. Then it moves on to open the scanner. After that, it attempts to retrieve the image width, and after retrieving the image width, it proceeds to retrieve the image height, and then after retrieving the image height, it starts the fingerprint capture. So that's why you see these messages here. You are being prompted every 1 second for You're being prompted in every 1 second to place your finger on the ZK Teco 4500 fingerprint scanner. And then once you place your finger on the scanner and it is successfully scanned, this message is returned and you are told that display fingerprint image. You get this message, and this is what comes first before the fingerprint image is displayed. So now I'm just going to tap on any key so that this image disappears, so that the application can move to the next step, and it shows us the extracted fingerprint template. So I'm just going to click enter, see what happens. So immediately after display captured fingerprint image, we get display extracted fingerprint template from the captured finger. And here is our template that was extracted from that captured fingerprint image. It is a long string. This is what we call the hashed code of the fingerprint template. Now after it displays the fingerprint template, it proceeds to close the device, and finally it frees up the allocated resources in step 10. So if you remember very well from how I was explaining it at the beginning, if you can remember from the steps that I mentioned in the beginning, in step 1 we do the initialization. We do the initialization of the ZK Teco API, and if it is successful, we receive this message here. Then in step 2, we get the device count, that is the count of connected devices in the computer, and if successful, you will get a value that is greater than 0. In step 3, we attempt to open the connected device so that we can get a device handle to it. So that's why you see this message here. In step 4, we retrieve the image width. But before we even retrieve the image width, I had initialized the width as 0 in anticipation for the value being greater than 0 if the application successfully retrieves the image width. That was in step 4. As you can see, in step 4, the image width was 292 pixels. In step 5, we retrieve the image height. This is where we got the image height. And then in step 6, we capture the fingerprints. That's why you see these prompts here. That is in step 6. And then in step 7, we display the captured fingerprint image at this bit here. And then in step 8, we display the extracted fingerprint template. Display the extracted fingerprint template, and here is the template that was extracted that we displayed. Now in step 9, that's where we close the device, and that's why you see this message here. And in step 10, we just free up the resources so that we can end the application gracefully without leaving any memory traces of it without leaving any dangling pointers in the memory. So that's it for capturing the fingerprint image and displaying the captured fingerprint image and the extracted fingerprint template. Let's repeat this again, and then I take you to the code so that I can explain how the code is working. Now I'm going to minimize this bit here, or I rather close it. Let me just minimize it. Then I just come here at this run button inside our code. I'm only seeing this with the new version of PyCharm IDE. In my previous PyCharm IDE, I did not have the run button inside my code. I am going to click the run button again, then click run main. Let me use my left index finger right now instead of the thumb. There goes the captured fingerprint image. Hope you can see it. Let me minimize it. So the application is at this point, display captured fingerprint image. It has not gone beyond that because it is waiting for me to close this image so that it can proceed to the next step of extracting the fingerprint template. So I'm going to click on enter. I'm going to press on enter, and then the application proceeds to display extracted fingerprint template, and here is the fingerprint template of the left index finger that I just placed on the ZK-Teco 4500 fingerprint scanner. So basically that's it for how the app runs. Now I want to take you to the last bit inside the code so that I can be able to show you what is happening at the various steps between step 1 and step 10. Let's get started. Before we begin, I think I will need to minimize this because we don't need it, so that we have more space. I minimized it. This is the main entry point for the application, and this is where we have step 1 and step 10. Step 2 all the way to step 8 are in this function here. If you noticed, we only have this function here. The code is very simple, it is not complicated, it just has only this additional function here besides the entry point, besides the main function. Now let's start with step 1. I want to show you what I'm doing in every one of these 10 steps. In step 1, I am initializing the ZK-Teco API. This is what I am doing. I am first coming up with this variable here, and then this variable, this is actually an instance of ZK-Teco finger class, this one here. This class is this one. In this helper class of mine, the one that I'm calling ZK-Teco finger class, I have, for the various steps, I have a function dedicated for every one of them. In step 1, where we are doing the initialization, I have this function here, init zkteco, and in step 2, where we are getting the count of zkteco devices, I have this function here called get count of connected devices. In step 3, where I am running the where I'm opening the device so that I can get the device handle, I am having this function called open device here. In step 4, where we are getting the image with dimension of the connected fingerprint scanner, we are running this function here called get finger image width. In step 5, where we are getting the image height, we have this function here called get finger image height. In step 6, where we are capturing the fingerprint image of the presented finger on the scanner, I am having this capture finger image function. In step 7, where we are displaying the fingerprint image, I am having this function here called display fingerprint image. In step 8, where we are displaying the extracted fingerprint template, I am having this function called display fingerprint template. And once everything is done and we need to close the device and free up the allocated resources, in step 9, to close the opened zkteco device, I am running this function here called close device. In step 10, where we are freeing up the allocated resources, I am running this function here called free resources. So basically this is my helper class. And its functions that I am calling in the main.py file. So if you see any function that I am calling in the main.py file, that is the main entry of the application, I am actually calling functions from the instance object of this class here, the zkteco finger class. Let's go back to main.py, back to step 1. So before I proceeded to show you the helper function, the helper class, that is the zkteco finger class and its function, I was taking you through step 1 of about initializing the zkteco API. So what I was saying is that we have this object instance of the zkteco finger class, the one that I showed you, the helper class, and I am going to be using this object instance here of the zkteco finger class to call the methods in the various steps that we are going to undertake. In the various steps that I predefined for this application to show you how to capture, display, and retrieve the extracted fingerprint template. Now, once I have this object instance here, remember I need to initialize. So I need to initialize the ZKTecho API. So what I'm doing is that with this object instance, I am calling the init ZKTecho function, and from that I'll retrieve a value of either 0 or something else. If it is a 0, it is a success. So that's why you are seeing, so that's why, let me just show you the ZKTecho documentation. You see, if it is a 0, it means the operation was successful. If it is a 0, the operation was successful. So hope you won't forget this. Now if it is something else, then it means the initialization was not successful. For instance, if it returned a -1, that would mean that it failed to initialize the algorithm library. If it e.g. returned a -2, no, for initialization it's only -1 and 0. Oh, what am I doing? Yeah, I need to come back here. Okay, so if it gives us a 0, it means the operation was successful. I'm trying to restore back this window here. I wonder if that is what I'm doing. Is the console? We closed the console. Okay, could just continue. Now if the initialization was successful, we call this function here, the only function in our main .py file, this one here, and then we pass the instance of the object, of the class object. So this function here will need us to pass the instance of this class here, that is a ZKTecho finger class, because we will need to call the functions of ZKTecho finger class with our from our ZKTecho finger API instance in this function here. So now I've been able to show you step 1. Step 1 is where we are getting the instance object of this class here. We know once we have this instance object here, we are able to call the methods, these methods here, these functions here inside our function here. Now let's go straight to this function so that I can show you step 2 all the way to step 8. Here it is. In step 2, we are getting the ZKTecho device count. So what happens at step 2? We are using this instance object that we passed in our function here, and then using this instance object to call the get count of connected devices, so that we can get the device count. Now once we receive the device count, you will see this message here, ZKTecho device count, and then you'll see the value. But I think I should run this application once more so that we are able to follow through. I be able to take you back to the console. You see the various steps and the output that we received. So let me just run it again, and use my left index to and capture my left index fingerprint image. There is our image. Now I need to show you this step 2 so that you can understand what happened. So if step 2 was successful, we will see a message that goes ZKTecho device count. Then this bit here, we convert it to a string and we join it with this bit here. So we should see ZKTecho device count something. Go back to our code here. I mean the output in the console. Here it is. We see ZKTecho device count is equals 1. So that is what is happening in step 2. In step 3, we open the ZKTecho device so that we can get a device handle. The device handle, we will be able to use it later on to capture the fingerprint image. But even before we capture the fingerprint image, we will also need it to get the image width and the image height of the opened ZKTecho device. So in step 3, we are opening the ZKTecho device. So this is the variable that I created. I first initialized it with a -1. And then in this code here, first I'm checking, did we get more than 0? I mean, did we get more than, what am I saying? Did we get any devices connected to the computer? If so, any ZKTecho, not just any device, any ZKTecho fingerprint scanner devices connected to the computer. If so, it means we have met this condition and the code moves to this bit here. Then here we prompt for checking whether the ZKTecho devices are more than 1. Why is this so? In this application, this is just a simple application. We don't need to handle more than 1. So if there are, like, let's say like 2 or 3 or more, the user will receive this message here. This ZKTecho fingerprint Python app works only with one ZKTecho fingerprint scanner at a time. So this is what you will receive if you have connected more than one ZKTecho device on your computer if you're trying to run this application. But for our case, we only had one, and this condition was met. And since this condition was met, we assigned this variable that I created here, that I was telling you that I pre-assigned a -1. We get the count of the ZKTecho device, then we do -1, because what happens in this API is that it assumes, it lists, it puts the connected devices, the ZKTecho devices in a list. So the ZKTecho device at index 0 will be the first one, and the ZKTecho device at index 1 will be the second one. But since in our case we only have one, the index is going to be 0, so that's why I'm doing -1. So I'm getting the value of the ZKTecho device count and doing -1. Since it was 1 minus 1 is 0. So in this case, our ZKTecho device index is going to be 0. So we are going to use this value, this dev index value, in step 3. No, we are going to use it in still in step 3, by the way, to get the device handle. Okay, so suppose there were no ZKTecho devices connected to the computer, the user will receive no ZK takeoff finger scanner message here. This is what they will be shown, but in our case we had one ZK takeoff device connected, so that's why we are assigning, we are executing this bit of code here. So let's move on. Now that we have the now that we have the index, that is where the connected device is located in the list, and we know it is 0, we are going to pass this value here inside the open device function so that we can get a device handle here. So to get our device handle here, we first get our object instance, and with our object instance we call the open device function and we pass the device index inside it, and that's how we are getting our device handle. But just before we proceed, we also need to test whether the device handle, we are really able to get the device handle. So if we succeeded in getting the device handle, we return this message here, ZK device successfully opened. And you can see from our console here the same message here because it succeeded. And if it was not possible to get the ZK device handle, this is the message that the user would have received: failed to open ZK device. Now let's move to step 4, where we are getting the image width. To get the image width, you need the device handle. So what happens? I am first coming up with this variable here that will hold my width, the width from, the width dimension. So what is happening is that I am having this object instance here, then it calls this function get finger image width, then I pass the handle that we got here inside the get finger image width function so that we can get our image width. But then you may ask, why do we need our image width and the image height? You need the image width and the image height to be able to allocate memory for where your captured fingerprint image will be stored. It is like having a canvas of X width and a height of Y, where you are going to draw your image. So before you draw your image, just see like in the way you just draw your image, the way you sketch your image. Suppose you are drawing it on a canvas somewhere, you could decide I'm going to draw it on this small sized canvas or a bigger canvas. But in our case, because we are capturing a fingerprint image from a scanner, we first need to determine the dimensions that are supported by that fingerprint scanner. So in our case, we need to first determine the image width and the image height that fingerprint images captured by that scanner will actually have. So now that I've shown you how we are getting the image width, let's proceed to the image height. So we are doing the same thing here. So using our object instance, the one that we passed into our function, we call the get finger image height function, and then we pass the device handle so that we can receive the image height. Now in step 6, I'm going to take you through the process of capturing the fingerprint image. But before we proceed to step 6, I need to show you from the console what the values that we got for the image width and the image height. So in the console, this is the message we got from this bit of code here. This one here, you see this bit here, ZKTecho device image width. This here it is, ZKTecho device image width. And then for the height, this is the message, this is what was printed to the console, ZKTecho device image height. Then the value that we got is first converted to a string, then it is concatenated with this other bit here, and that's why we got this bit here. ZKTecho device image height is 374. So you can see for the width we got 292 pixels, and for the height we got 374 pixels. So far so good, we are almost done. I want to take you to step 6 where we are doing capture fingerprint image. So for capture fingerprint image, I am using the object instance that we passed into our function there, and then we call the capture finger function, and we pass these values here: the device handle, the width, and the height. So the device handle is going to, we are passing the device handle to tell the application that we want this particular fingerprint scanner to capture a fingerprint image and reserve the image width as this value here, and reserve the image height as this value here. If we're able to successfully capture the fingerprint image, we are going to output, we are going to receive various values which I created this variable for. So they are going to be put here. One is going to be the fingerprint buffer, the second one is going to be the fingerprint buffer size, the third one is going to be the fingerprint template, and the fourth one is going to be the fingerprint template size. Okay, I need to show you something here. So those are the bits that I told you about. So in result, capture this one here. It is going to have the image buffer, and then the image height here, and the image width here, the fingerprint template here, and the fingerprint template size here. Now with these two, the fingerprint image, we can be able to display the fingerprint image, sorry, with these three here, with this, the fingerprint image buffer, the fingerprint image height, and the fingerprint image width, we can be able to display the fingerprint image. I will show you that. I will show you how to do that in step 7. And with the template buffer and the template buffer size, we can be able to, no, actually even with this one alone, with the template buffer, I can actually be able to show you the extracted fingerprint template. I hope I have not lost you. Remember, we were in step 6 where I was showing you how to capture the fingerprint image. So what happens during capture fingerprint image? So once this function is executed, this one here, it will be running every 1 second as it waits for you to place your finger on the scanner and it will be showing you this message here: place finger on ZK-Teco 4500 scanner to capture it. It will continue like that for 10 seconds. So if you don't place your finger on the scanner within the 10 seconds, it is going to show you a message that it was not able to, that it actually stopped the process of capturing the fingerprint image. But if you place your finger on the ZK-Teco scanner within 10 seconds, it's going to capture a fingerprint image, and then it will show you this message here: finger capture is successful. This bit here, finger capture is successful. Now that I've shown you step 6 for capturing fingerprint, let me take you to step 7 for displaying the captured fingerprint image. So when step 7 runs, this one here for displaying fingerprint image, that's when you are going to see this image here, the image that you captured when you placed your finger on the ZK-Teco finger scanner. So basically in step 7, what is happening is that we are using the instance object and then calling the display fingerprint image function, and then inside it we just pass the fingerprint image buffer, the image height and the image width, and then it pops up this image here. So in Python you can be able to use the library, the CV library, or you use the Pillow library to display your image. Now let's move to step 8. In step 8, I'm going to show you how to display the extracted fingerprint template. Now in our console here, you can see that trying to scroll all the way down, I can't go past that because I need to close the image, this image here, this fingerprint image here, so that it can proceed to step 8 here for displaying fingerprint template. So it is actually at this bit here. It is actually at this bit here, that is display fingerprint image. But once I click, once I press any key on the keyboard and this image disappears, the code will continue and run step 9 here. That is, sorry, it will continue and run this bit here for display fingerprint template. So let's do that right now. So to do that, I'm going to punch any key. Let me just press enter so that this image disappears and the code proceeds to execute, continues with execution of the code from this bit here, that is line 72, 73 onwards. So observe what happens here at the console once I press enter. You see, though it has run to completion, but I need to show you this bit here. So it was initially here when the image was being displayed, and once we close the image, it ran this bit here. So that's why it displayed the extracted, sorry, it proceeded to show this message, I mean this message here: display extracted fingerprint template from the captured finger. So it encoded the fingerprint template, and this is what it gave us. This is the hashed code of the fingerprint template. This was produced by this bit here. When your object instance calls the display fingerprint template, and then inside it you pass the ZK-Teco, I mean the template buffer and the template buffer size. You remember we got those ones from the finger capture function here. It gave us this, and this we extracted the template here and we extracted the finger template size. I hope that bit is clear. So could repeat it again. When we did capture finger, we got this result capture here. We got all the output in this result capture here. Think of it as a dictionary, and in that dictionary we have the template buffer and we have the template buffer size here. So these values here is what we are passing inside display fingerprint template here, and we receive this hashed code of the fingerprint template. Now we're almost done. So now what I need to show you is the step 9 for close the device. So to close the device, you have the object instance, the one that we passed in this function here, the one that we are calling from. Remember, we are calling this from the main and we are passing this object instance of this class here, of our helper class, this one here, so that in step 9, yeah, so that with this and what was I saying? Yeah, so with this object instance, we call the close device function from our object instance, and then we pass the device handle of the opened ZK device to close it. And if it was successful, we will receive this message here, closing ZK device. Here it is, closing ZK device. Now I've been able to show you steps 2 to step 8, no, to step 9 inside our function here. Remember, in step 2 I showed you how to get the ZK device count. In step 3 I showed you how to open the ZK device so that you can get the device handle. In step 4 I showed you how to get the image width, and in step 5 I showed you how to get the image height. You need both image height and image width for your finger capture in step 6, where we are doing capture. So in step 6 where we are doing capture finger, we are passing the device handle and the image width, and in step 6 where we are doing capture finger, we will need our capture function, our capture finger function to receive, we will need to pass the device handle and the device width and the device height dimension so that the function can capture the finger. Then in step 7 is where we are displaying the captured fingerprint image. So for this function of displaying the fingerprint image, we need to pass the finger image buffer, the fingerprint image width, height and the width. And remember, we were able to get this from using the device handle in step 3. Was it in step 3? No, in step 4 and step 5, where we are getting the image width and image height. Yeah, here and here. So now, what was I saying? Yeah, I was showing you how to capture fingerprint. I was telling about the step 6 for capture fingerprint. And then in step 7 is where we display the captured finger image, and in step 8 is where we display the extracted fingerprint template from the captured finger image. And then we close the device once we are through, And then there's one more step, that is step 10, which is inside our entry point, inside our main function. That is where we are freeing up the allocated resources. So here it is, so that we do not have dangling pointers in the memory. That's why we call the free resources function to free up or any allocations that were made by the ZKTecho API when we were running the application. So basically that's it. That's all I wanted to show you for today. It's just a basic Python biometric app that runs on the ZKTecho 4500 fingerprint scanner. Let me know what else you would like to see me integrate with using Python. I've already done various other Python biometric integrations. Today's Python biometric integration was about the ZKTecho 4500 fingerprint scanner. However, this code can also run with other ZKTecho fingerprint scanners like the ZKTecho 9500. Thank you for watching and staying all the way to the end. If you have any questions about how I did this integration, please let me know in the comment section. Also, if you need help with your Python integration, irrespective of whatever device you are using, I am up for it. You can actually send me an email. You can also write a comment and I'll be able to pick it up from there. Or you could check my official website in the description of this video or in the pinned comment for how to reach out to me for assistance. See you in the next one.